trigger happy and I give less than a fuck. Love me or hate me, I'ma show enough, rip shit up. It's Mr. Nothing, nice on a mic stand. Mic in the left and the zest in my right hand. I took a puff, had enough now, hold up. If that was Indo, niggas getting rolled up.
What to do, folks? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the More Malice EP, which is a reissue of Snoop Dogg's Malice in Wonderland album. So basically, I reviewed Malice in Wonderland back in like June or July, so it's a little bit of a ways back, but you can find it. And I gave that a particularly high score, so I wanted to cover this as like the true send-off to that saga of Snoop Dogg, because he was really kind of on fire around that time. It was really, to me, pretty much one of Snoop Dogg's best. Easily like top 3 or top 5, whichever way you want to look at it. One of Snoop Dogg's best that he's done. And I really feel like this is a good rendition. Not quite as classic as Malice in Wonderland, but definitely has some good extra hits that you are just not able to find anywhere else. So it has like 3 remixes and 5 new songs. So I want to say that I was interested just in seeing what was going to happen here, but really, the thing about Snoop Dogg is he does still kind of have some of that bite. I really feel like the Snoop Dogg that I found most effective was when he was on the I Wanna Rock G-Mix, which it just felt like that was one of Snoop Dogg's best singles in quite some time. I mean, he did well in the 2000s, but that was definitely like a song. Didn't have like Akon on there, didn't have Nate Dogg on there, didn't really have an R&B singer. It was just a pure rap song that kicked ass and charted pretty high also. But the G-Mix with Jay-Z, he sounded really reinvigorated. Like, even if Jay-Z was more lyrical on the song, I still felt like Snoop Dogg held his own. He just had a really kind of fiery and dynamite verse, so I give him credit for that. But yeah, just to kind of say some of these, I mean, I feel like Snoop Dogg was inspired with this extra package that went along as a side piece to Malice in Wonderland. But I feel like maybe the wrong batch of songs was kind of chosen. I kind of think that's kind of the thing. But we'll go ahead and talk about that as time goes on. So I'm going to talk about the singles now. So like I said, there were 2 singles. And one of which was I Wanna Rock, the G-Mix with Jay-Z, and then the second single was That Tree, which is an entirely new song. Basically, I Wanna Rock has a pretty stellar verse from Jay-Z. I mean, it just felt so effortless for Jay-Z the way he threw that together. I mean, if he really doesn't write his verses, that's pretty good, just because, you know, it just feels like he just probably 5 minutes before, I mean, maybe he knew what he was going to say, but it just seems like it was just kind of, you know, simple. But then I really appreciated Snoop Dogg's verse, just how effective it kind of was. I mean, he added a new verse. He didn't just recycle his verses from the original song on Malice in Wonderland. He actually, I mean, verse 3 is from the original I Wanna Rock song, but Snoop Dogg did add a new verse on there, and I really appreciate it. It's probably, to me, one of the best verses Snoop Dogg had on this whole EP. Definitely felt really kind of like he had to match Jay-Z, and he did well with it. So, there was that same classic beat, same kind of snake-ish and kind of oozing kind of beat. This felt like a real good Smoke song. I remember the Jabberwockies, the dance group, danced in the music video. So this overall nice dance song, nice Smoke song, nice kind of backyard kind of party song. This overall nice night song in general. This really kicks ass, yet and still the remix is no exception. And then That Tree was a surprising Snoop Dogg song. I was really surprised at the singles that Snoop Dogg put out in late 2009 and 2010, just because I would like Snoop Dogg to kind of get back to these kind of vibes that he has in some of these singles, between songs like Gangsta Love, I Wanna Rock, That Tree, and I can't really think of other songs, but those 3 songs that I mean, all of these did pretty well. Kid Cudi did a great job on there also. He did a pretty good hook on there. And I felt like he contributed to that, considering that Kid Cudi was pretty early in his career at that time. But I really liked the kind of loopy and kind of hollow sounding beat. And I don't mean hollow in a bad way, but it just felt like a real kind of backyard kind of smoke session kind of song where you're just, I mean, it doesn't even have to be backyard. It could just be in the front yard, just smoking right on the street, walking up the street, something like that. It just felt like another nighttime song, kind of like I Wanna Rock was. Really appreciated that. Easy kind of this mellow vibes, classic California type feel, classic just street kind of feel and that sort of stuff, and just easy enough to have like a swisher, that type of stuff. So it really is, I mean, it's called That Tree, but it is a good Smoke song. Really appreciated the production on there. So those were both good. And to kind of talk about some of these. The thing about it is the fact that most of these new Snoop Dogg songs, I really only liked like two of them, which is kind of disappointing because I would have thought, coming off a high that he was off of Malice in Wonderland, I would have thought that some undercuts or leftover energy that he had from Malice in Wonderland would have translated to something more interesting. But the fact of the matter is two of the four songs I enjoyed off this EP are songs that were already on Malice in Wonderland. So Gangsta Love is on here, and that's an easy hit that also I'll count for one of the ones I liked. And then the I Wanna Rock G Mix with Jay-Z was the other one. So that really only leaves two other songs, which is just That Tree and then So Gangsta. Now I felt like So Gangsta was another nice kind of front yard, walking up the streets kind of smoke song and stuff. Just really kind of reminded me of like a nice evening song. Kind of could be played in September, October, getting ready to walk to a party, drive to a party. Just a slow creep kind of song. Butch Cassidy really has like this kind of this low key kind of Barry White kind of melody, or just is like this kind of simple kind of, just reminds me of Nate Dogg in a lot of ways. It's similar to where Butch Cassidy is not necessarily singing for the ladies, kind of like Trey Songz or Akon would, but just kind of doing like a more gangsta R&B singer type vibe that Nate Dogg has. There's not many folks that do that like Nate Dogg, but it was a really good combination. And the fact that I didn't really enjoy the Butch Cassidy song that much that was on Malice in Wonderland, this makes up for it. So it's really nice, just easy kind of slow creep kind of song. And Butch Cassidy has this real slow groove in there. So that's kind of the interesting thing about it. So I appreciated that. But there's just too many songs out of the 5 new songs on here that just were not effective Snoop Dogg. Like I really, like, I would have liked, I mean, House Shoes sounded really sophisticated, but I kind of didn't appreciate the production on there. I mean, I know it was kind of coming from like a more classy kind of approach, but somehow I felt like the approach on that could have been better. It just kind of felt like Snoop Dogg was saying, take your shoes off at the door, wipe your feet, be careful, and, don't knock anything over. No break, you break it, you buy it kind of vibe. And I kind of feel like You're Gonna Love Me was really kind of a paltry R&B song that I was really expecting to kind of have more bite towards it. Like, I don't know where that kind of went, especially after doing songs with like Akon and those type songs, and even with The Dream where he did on Malice in Wonderland, where he did Love Drunk. I just feel like You're Gonna Love Me compared to Love Drunk and even Gangsta Love just was a really kind of flimsy kind of R&B kind of flavored song. It's difficult to even listen to for very long. And then Protocol really, just that production wasn't quite interesting enough either. I mean, it was supposed to be just like a standard Snoop Dogg song, but I know Snoop Dogg can do better album cuts than what he did on there. I really couldn't vibe with the production that well, and I was kind of hoping that it would have had like more bite. Like, I just feel like the smooth kind of suaveness of So Gangsta and kind of the lit kind of like house party kind of feel of That Tree compared to this Protocol, where it just feels like he's just trying to be lyrical. In a lot of ways, Protocol just kind of feels like a lyrical song, which I feel like Snoop Dogg can definitely find better production than on Protocol. So it just kind of felt like, I mean, it was interesting kind of have Snoop Dogg get his bite back, but it didn't really portray it in such a compelling kind of way, so I didn't really appreciate that one. So yeah, once again, I'll list the 4 songs I recommend to you. So the 4 songs I recommend to you would be I Wanna Rock G Mix with Jay-Z, So Gangsta with Butch Cassidy, That Tree with Kid Cudi, and then Gangsta Love with The Dream, which is exactly like it was on Malice in Wonderland. So me liking 4 out of 8, I'm going to go ahead and give this album a 6 out of 10. I would give it a 5, but I'm going to give it a 6 just because these songs were good, and I appreciate Snoop Dogg being inspired for the most part. I wish it would have translated into slightly better kind of execution and less kind of flimsiness, but I do appreciate when Snoop Dogg actually did have the bite. He did have the bite. So that's kind of the interesting thing, is it was Snoop Dogg on his Malice in Wonderland vibes, which was quite a stellar project, but it just didn't translate as well as it should have. Even if the lyrics were good, it just felt like somehow the execution of making a good beat, a good topic, good melody, and things like that, and just chorus and those type things just didn't quite go over as well as it needed to, which is really too bad. It'd be kind of like if Tupac released a bonus package to All Eyes on Me and you only liked like 2 or 3 out of 6 of the songs on that. You'd be like, what the hell? Even if it was Tupac more Tupac from 1996 is kind of like, well, what the hell is going on here? That's kind of how it was. But I give it a 6 just because I did like Snoop Dogg's new verse on I Wanna Rock, and That Tree was a great single. So Gangsta was a great cut with Butch Cassidy. It reminded me of his cuts with Nate Dogg, and Gangsta Love is still an outstanding single. Just to talk about that, I mean, that's still a great, relationship and song for the ladies. This easy kind of me and my bitch kind of vibe, cruising in the summertime and just feeling the wind blow in your hair, that type stuff. So it just works. And yeah, I just would have to say the social score, I'll go ahead and give like a 7, just because That Tree worked effectively well, and this was Snoop Dogg. Both of the singles really showcased how this project did have a little bit of bite. It probably could have used at least one other single though, and I mean, well, I mean, I know it was an EP, but I don't know. Somehow it felt kind of light on like promotion and stuff. I'll still give it a 7 just because both the singles were good. And also to talk about Pronto, the G mix, I wasn't too big a fan of this song. Like I don't mind the one. I guess I don't mind the one on Malice in Wonderland, but Bun B, even if he dropped a good verse, it just felt kind of awkward for him to be on that song. It really didn't match up for him. It's just not a song I can see an underground king on. No, I mean, no offense to Soldier Boy, but it really didn't feel like a match for. I mean, it felt really more like a southern kind of like YouTube or MySpace kind of song, that type stuff. And Bun B, it's just like, I mean, he needs to be on more songs like I can't even think of UGK songs right now, but like yeah, what was that song with Outkast? Like the song, like International Players Anthem, something like that. Those kind of vibes. I mean, he needs something with like a real flamboyant sample or some 70s sound in, or just some syrupy kind of twang to it. But that's kind of the remarks. I give the album a 6 out of 10, 7 social. And I would have to say whether this record could be topped. I mean, I do think it could have had like at least one more hit. Like I said, I felt like Snoop Dogg was kind of light on like the pungentness of the original songs he did. And in terms of the future, I mean, Snoop Dogg dropped an album, I want to say this year. He dropped like Back on Death Row, which Snoop Dogg acquired Death Row, so that's kind of a cool thing there. I don't know how good that project is, but at least, he's done something. And he dropped an album last year with like that smoking album from the streets to the sweet. So those are a couple things from Snoop recently. So yeah, good stuff here. Extra kind of care package to go along with it. Just easily, if you're going to pick up this, if Malice in Wonderland, the original album, is included with this project, I would just get this because it's got some good stuff, and it just makes sense to own both of these. I mean, it is decent.